Hey, do you want to do the intro, Sage?
No, you do it.
I'll do it. I'll do it. Hey, y'all. We are so happy to have you back listening to our amazing podcast about music and entertainment. We have with us today, and well, they know who we are, Sage, so I'm just going to skip us.
Yes, skip
So,
us.
yeah, we have with us today, and I am totally stoked about this, the amazing Jasper Cole. He is in everything. I
Everything
mean,
pretty.
like he's Hollywood's go-to bad guy. So, welcome, Jasper.
Hey guys, how are you?
We are
Fantastic.
great.
It's so great to be on. Thank you so much for having me. I love when people say Hollywood's bad guy because people who know me in real life, they always laugh at that. They're like, seriously, Jasper? But, I try to pull it off on camera.
Well, I thought you did a fabulous job in Carl Weber's The Family Business.
Oh,
I
thank you.
loved that.
Yeah, I was so honored to get that job to work with those people. I mean, it's such an amazing Carl. Just I don't know how he keeps all those storylines going, and he writes every word of it, and he's on set, and it's amazing.
That is really cool. So, you've hung out with Ernie Hudson, is that correct or not? Like,
Yeah. Most of my scenes are with Ernie, who plays L.C. Duncan. He's the patriarch of the family, patriarch of the Duncan family, and yeah, I kind of geeked out a little bit because I grew up with Ghostbusters, and now of course there's a whole generation that knows him from Grace and Frankie, and that whole world. But he's the greatest guy. What I find, it's interesting. I find in this business too, like the people, the more seasoned they are, the more humble they are, the more chill they are, the more cool they are. It's always more than likely the newer folks who are not as secure, maybe, who
Yeah.
feel they have
right.
something to, you know what I mean, something to
Right.
prove. But I've really been blessed with getting to work with these veterans that are just so amazing. Whoever's number one on the call sheet on the show kind of sets the tone for like how the set should be and that kind of thing. So I think he really does an amazing job just kind of being himself, and he's fun. He's a fun guy.
Yeah, I mean, his part, like, I love how he plays the role of Elsie
Hmm.
in the
Mm.
show. I'm like, that's cool. And oh my gosh. And I'm not going to give spoilers because I want people to go watch. Um, I often give spoilers, but I won't this time.
Yeah.
Uh, but what the character, Cora?
Cory?
No,
Oh,
not
no.
Cory.
Oh,
The guy, the other guy the bad guy, who
oh,
is
there's
like
so many.
his
There's,
family is
there's so many.
against the Duncan family.
Oh, that are going against. Yeah.
I thought it was Cora or Cor.
Could be.
Anyway, what they did, oh gosh, they got him so good. I was like,
I know.
Amen. They got you.
Yes. And the great thing about it, all 12 episodes dropped at the same time, so everyone can just binge them on
Yeah.
BET Plus. And then what happens usually on BET Plus is in a month or so, or maybe a few months after it runs for a while, they'll put it over on BET. I guess they call it just regular BET,
Yeah, I was a
Yeah.
little confused by that
not
myself.
non-streaming channel on their
Yeah,
regular in your cable package, whatever.
right.
Yeah. But to your point, yeah, I mean, there's so many characters in there that, again, I don't know, a lot of the storylines don't cross. Like, I guess a lot of
Sure.
soap operas are, So I didn't
Yeah,
get to work with some of my friends that were on the show, but I got to work with Robert Picardo, from the Star Trek series.
right.
He plays Bernie on the show. He's been on from the beginning, so everyone
Yeah.
watched the season because Bernie goes on quite a journey as
A
well.
tangent of his own. Yes.
Yes.
I was like, oh, Bernie.
Yep. Stay tuned.
Yeah. I mean, it really is a good show. It's incredibly character rich.
You
And
know, it was, I don't know if the listeners know, it was originally a film. The first season was a film, and they took the film and broke it into 8 episodes.
oh, that's cool.
And then got picked up for a second season, and then they started filming all new episodes. And I believe the second season they shot in Atlanta.
Yes, I believe. Yeah,
Is that right? Okay, yeah. And
I
then they
think
moved
so.
it out to LA for this. So we're hoping there's a season 4, because Cory is kind of introduced and then stirs it up a little bit, and then he's just sort of left there waiting to do more. So fingers crossed that we get a 4th season.
Yeah, definitely. I think Corey should be in the next season. I
Well,
mean,
thank you.
I think there are many ways to segue Corey into the next
Listen,
season,
I'm just pleased to be able to announce that I actually am alive at the end of something, because generally
I was
most of my
happy about
characters
that.
are killed.
Yeah.
So
So
it's such a
nice,
rarity that I
You
make
nice
it.
to
guys
live.
said, yeah, I got killed in the second season.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, oh my God, I got to my last episode, and I was like, wait, I'm not, I didn't go off the cliff. I'm here. Okay.
Right.
So that's a good spoiler alert. Corey survived season 3.
No ambulance.
Right.
The iconic ambulance ride and the defibrillator.
Oh my
Clear!
God. It's
I don't want to see
amazing.
you in that either.
Yeah, it's just amazing how many times I get killed and don't survive. Or at least I love to make it. I read something that's like, how long am I going to make it in this episode till Jasper's killed? But yeah.
That's great. That's funny.
Yeah.
So what else do you have going on? You have some really cool stuff coming up, don't
Oh,
you?
thank you. Well, a lot of people may not know, I'm a producer, and I'm also a manager. So I rep 25 other clients myself. And so,
Wow.
yeah, I've been doing
That's
that for
cool.
about 18 years now. And I always say, if I'm not working, I just pimp them out for 10%. But but I've been producing.
That's Hollywood.
That's
That's
Hollywood.
Hollywood.
It's legal, allegedly.
Oh,
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
But no, I've been producing a lot of stuff. I've got like 3 or 4 unscripted. First of all, I'm a huge reality show geek. And truth be told, I might even love a housewife show or two. But people always think that's funny. They're like, Jasper, you watch The Housewives? And proudly, yes, I do.
Yeah.
I have no problem saying that. But I love the unscripted world. I've got like 3 or 4 projects option right now. And then another digital series coming soon called Kombucha Cure, which I'm really proud of. It's more of a comedic role for me. I play Theo, who is a yoga enthusiast and a veteran and has a pet pig, and it's a lot closer to my southern roots. And that's it's very quirky. It's very much like the old Northern Exposure series back in the
Right.
day.
Okay. So kind of satirical, kind of pointing a funny finger at certain things that go on.
Yeah, it's about this little town in Nevada, and we've sort of taken on big pharma and the insurance companies by coming up with our own holistic medicines and stuff to sort of cure our ailments while using the insurance company to help finance our endeavors. But it's Cecilia Choi. She's the first time Korean director, writer, amazing lady. And it's a cast is Emmy winner Tamara Braun, Denise Boutet, Jennifer Bassi, Robert Craighead. Yeah, so we've got it was shot as a movie, just like I was saying about family business, and it's been cut up into 6 episodes. So the first 6 are going to drop digitally, hopefully in December or January.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very nice.
And then I always ask people to follow us on my podcast. I'm in my 10th season, one-on-one with Jasper Cole. And we're live every Thursday night at 6 p.m. Pacific, but then it goes out, like you guys, it goes on all the platforms, archive episodes. And I really love doing that because, it gives me a chance to show my real personality, not just
Sure.
always be this creepy, weird
Right.
I mean, I'm grateful to be that creepy, weird, mean guy.
Right.
Because it pays the bills. But
Right.
but I just thought, that's not I'm much more comedic, sarcastic, political.
Oh, you are our brethren.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's one of the things that because technology has really affected the industry, and just the manner that a lot of people who were kind of shoestringing their creativity as to looking to go to find people to give them a job, now they can do their own jobs. They can do their own types of things, and at the same time be locked into that typecast and having that job, having that entertainment job stuck in your typecast, but you still get to do other things. You get to be creative. You get to have, you get to show your person. And that's what we like to do here is we reach out so we can see people's humanity, really, everybody else sees entertainers when they're entertaining, but when they're people, personally, I think that's more fun.
I agree with that.
And I'm just interested in people, and maybe that's the actor in me. I like to watch, but I was a psychology major, so I always like to think that I just fascinated by what makes people tick, and and everybody has a story. I mean, it's yes, there's great celebrities, but I think everyday real people have much more interesting lives most of the time, and people like to just feel like someone wants to hear their story. So that's what I love about doing the podcast, is just to meet all these different people and try to bring out a different side of them.
So did you mention what is the subject of your podcast? Did you mention that? Did I miss that?
It's just, well, I had for 5 years I had a show called On the Set with Jasper Cole, and it was more of an all entertainment.
For the Actors Studio.
It was more like, I had my same co-host Ralph Cole Jr., but we did it on camera live, 2 hours. It was like a big party, but it was mostly entertainment related.
Right.
I switched over to one-on-one so I could just sit down one-on-one with one particular person. So we still do pop culture and actors and stuff, but I have an ongoing series on the homelessness called the Heroes and Horrors of Homelessness, and I bring on different homeless experts, but people who work in the field, and because it's just been, not only has LA been decimated by homeless, it's just, I'm sure across the country you see more and more.
I live in a very I guess the word is bougie neighborhood here in Tennessee.
Yes, you do, sir.
Yes, I do. And I've actually, in the 3 years that I've lived here, and actually 6 years that I've worked in the area, I've encountered homeless where I didn't see them before. Right. And it's epidemic in this country for sure.
And unfortunately, with the pandemic, we're seeing more and more situations. I mean, LA was always bad, but there was like a Skid Row area of town.
Oh, yeah.
Now, the face of homelessness has changed. It's single mothers and kids, and so that's I do this ongoing series. In fact, this coming Thursday show is we're getting an update from he's the mayor of Skid Row. Well, that's what people call him, General Jeff, and he's my co-host for the homeless shows. And he always comes on to give us the updates on what's happening with the donations and the government and stuff like that. And then I do a series called Breaking the News, which is, I have a co-host, Erica Davis, who's a journalist, and we just get into like politics and what's happening in terms of that part of the world. But usually, otherwise, it's Ralph Cole Jr. and I just acting a fool and interviewing fun people,
Nice.
We can relate to that. We do a lot of that.
By the way, guys, one of my reality shows is set in Nashville, and nice. It started out with my dear friend Charlene Tilton and her daughter,
right,
Cherish Lee, and then it's kind of morphed. It's morphing over into something to do with real estate in Nashville. But we have an amazing producer who did all of Trisha Yearwood's Country Kitchen shows right there in her, is it Green? I'm trying to remember which neighborhood. anyway, I've kind of gotten to know some of the
Green
neighborhoods.
Hills, maybe.
What's
Green
Green
Hills.
Hills.
in Franklin also?
Franklin, yeah.
That's where I live. I live in Franklin.
Oh, you said bougie, and I was thinking, I believe that's where we're spending part of our show.
Yes.
But once we're gonna come there and film some. I'd love to see you guys.
That would be
for sure.
fantastic.
Nashville is phenomenal, and I think again, people are starting to. Well, you guys know the South knows Nashville, but I think a lot of people don't know other parts of Nashville. They just know country music.
And there's
Right.
so much more.
It's so much more.
Yeah.
Rich in culture, rich in history. I mean, it's a big chunk of Americana that people don't even miss it. When I told my family I was moving, because I used to live in California, and when I told my family I was moving down here, they're all, what? They're all backwards and country and all this and that. And I got here and I was like, that is the furthest thing from the truth. I mean, it's culture and people are intelligent, nice people. I mean, I still can't
and
get
we're
over the
genuine.
fact. Genuine. They look you in the face and they say hello.
They say yes, ma'am, and no, ma'am.
Yes, we do.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
And of course, you always got to throw in a bless your heart.
Bless your
No,
heart,
that's only when you're slamming them. That's only when you're being mean.
It all depends on how you use that phrase.
Yes.
Right?
You know, when you hear a Southern woman go, oh, bless your heart,
Bless your heart.
you know you've crossed her.
Yeah, whenever my mother would start a sentence with bless her heart, I knew it was going to go. And we would usually be sitting in church on the back row. I'm like, really, Mom? We're going to go there now? But yeah,
Right.
That's good old Southern. You know, I've been here 35 years. You just never, I'm still Southern to the core. I mean, you never, my dad is 90 years old. Well, wait, he's 89. I keep doing that. Whenever I have one birthday, I automatically make myself the next year. He's 89. He lives in the house he was born in 120 years back, you know. Can you hear you?
Oh,
Yeah, we can hear
hey.
you.
Okay.
There you are.
Okay. I don't know what
Yeah.
happened. Like everything just froze. I was like, okay.
And I don't drink or do drugs at all. So I was like, oh, wow, I'm having a stroke.
Right. And I do before every show, and I thought they were just kicking in nicely.
I heard gridlocked or something. I was like, what? No, I was just saying that I feel that I go back home and I feel connected to that. It's right outside of Athens called Watkinsville, but yeah.
Yeah. I hung in Athens one night.
Do you remember it? Were you?
Yeah.
one of
I'm
those-
imagining this. Is this really happening?
Oh my God.
But yeah, it was crazy. And so, but the night before was great. We had a great time in Athens. Athens was
Maybe
awesome.
that's why your blood sugar was low.
Yes, probably so.
Too good of a time.
Yes, indeed.
Well, it should, it's funny because it's got a reputation of being such a party town. My high school was literally on the college campus. So by the time we went through 4 years of high school, we had done all the fraternity parties, the sorority parties,
Right.
I kind of felt like we had done college in a way. I mean, we had parties, fake IDs and the whole thing.
Of course.
So I kind of I had sort of gotten that out of my system that's when I started pursuing my acting career. But I wonder if I'd not had that high school experience, I'm sure I would have gone the traditional college route and partied
And lived your house dreams.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, Athens is a party town. But it's weird because on the flip side, we had like REM and B-52s and
Yes, you did.
Kim Basinger and
Yeah.
Nene Leakes. It's funny because she's from the Real Housewives of Atlanta, but Nene and I actually, it's funny how we graduated together, but yet somehow she's 5 years younger. It's amazing how that happens, right? I'm like,
Right.
But Athens, I didn't appreciate it growing up. You just want to leave and get, it's so funny. You said you moved back, you left California. I couldn't wait to get to California.
Right.
And then, of course, now Atlanta is like Hollywood South, right?
It's a booming, like, movie town. Really?
I'm strongly considering paying my SAG dues.
Right. I mean, there's so many great people have just moved there permanently to work full time, crew people and everybody. It's still weird for me because I left there to come here. So when I go back there to work, I'm always like, wait, this is so bizarre.
Right. Yeah.
Like, is this the same area?
I know Atlanta's changed so much in a good
it's
way,
insane.
in a great way.
Yeah. I mean, the traffic's still terrible, and I didn't think it could get worse, but it did.
It always was growing up.
Yeah,
there.
it was terrible.
I guess they just couldn't keep up with the growth, you know, I-75 and 85. It was always under construction. I guess Nashville, you guys are busy too, right?
We have a lot of that.
I lived, one of the towns that I lived in when I first got here is called Murfreesboro. And I worked at a Publix. Across the street from the Publix was a cow pasture. I went through there the other day, and it's apartment buildings and a strip mall.
It's
amazing.
It seems like overnight these places pop up.
Yeah, for sure.
It is.
That's what's happened in LA too. I live in Palm Springs and LA, but I was just Palm Springs for the last 3 years, commuting back and forth. I just got a new place in LA, and it's the same thing. I go down the street and I'm like, when did they throw that building up? You know?
Yeah.
Right.
Anyway,
it's definitely crazy.
I have this is kind of a standard question just because it's something that it's intriguing to me. I'm always very curious to know what is it about acting, about being an entertainer. I mean, either what was the thing that got you to throw your life into it, or what was the moment where you realized, oh, hey, I'm not in Athens, Georgia anymore. I'm doing this crazy entertainment business. I mean,
what was the moment I realized I was certifiably crazy and complete?
Yes, that's what we want to know.
Job to realize
that's what we want to know. Yeah, for sure.
Who the hell would want to do this kind of thing? That's so funny, you know, because I grew up I was the youngest of 4 boys. There was no kind of theater. I mean, I was playing the sports, whatever my brothers did, I was, you know, following in their footsteps. And, but I always say I was like a closeted thespian because I really wanted to be doing theater in school. I would like sneak over to the auditorium and watch them rehearse and stuff. And, you know, I always loved TV and film. I mean, all the old TV shows, and it was inside of me, but I didn't let anyone know about it until after I graduated high school. And I tried college for 2 years. I always say I have an AA in psychology from the junior college, which is about all I need. No, I'm kidding. When I moved to Atlanta, right after that, I moved to Atlanta and went to the Alliance Theater School, which was a full range program with writing, acting, directing, the whole thing. And I connected with a fellow Athenian that I didn't know from Athens. And she and I co-wrote and co-starred in a play called Willow Springs Now, which was stupid Southern, like a takeoff on Fernwood Tonight. It was a talk show. Long story short, it got produced in Atlanta. A producer saw it and said, well, if you ever come to LA, well, of course, if you tell a 23-year-old, if you ever come to LA, literally like 3 weeks later, we had packed the cars and driven out here and knocked on his theater in West LA. We're like, hi, you remember us? And I'm sure he was thinking, who, what? Who are you?
What did I say when I was on it?
Yeah, but he put our little show up, and it was really the beginning of my whole career because we got a little following and celebrities started coming, and I got an agent, and I just thought, oh, wow, well, this is how it happens, right? I'm on my way. And then, you know, reality hits, and I was like temping and paying my dues. But, you know, my career has been sort of a marathon. It's definitely not been a sprint. You know, it's been a long, slow process. But yeah, so there were many times along the way, I'd go back home and visit my friends who were already buying houses and had kids, and, you know, and I was like, God, what if I could just, you know, get a real job and whatever. But all along the way, I would get little successes that would tell me I might be on the right track.
Right.
And then you reach a point where it's like, shit, I've been doing this so long, I can't,
I
I don't know how to do anything else at this point. But I always say to people, just stay open to opportunity. You know, the managing thing, I wasn't looking for that, and the producing thing just kind of happened. And so I've always stayed in the entertainment world, but the older I've gotten, the more character-y I am, the more work I get as an actor, which is kind of a very sexist part of our business, unfortunately. You know,
There's a lot of that.
Men can work at, you know, we can start working at 50, and you know, some women in particular don't have that, you know, unless you're really character, you know, it's very unfair, but it's getting better, hopefully. Yeah. So that was a long-winded answer to just say, I think we're all trying to make up for what we didn't get in our childhood.
Right.
Trying to get some praise that we didn't get. No, I just always wanted to be a working actor. I never thought anything about, you know, any awards or celebrity or any of that stuff. So it's just this whole social media world now that we're kind of forced to partake in as actors, which is a blessing. I'm one of those people, like I think it's great. Like I try to make it a great marketing tool.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, it's definitely taken the actors world of self-promotion to a whole new level. I mean, any kind of entertainer for that, whether you're acting or doing comedy or doing music. I mean, I mess around with some kids here who play some music, and they're all over the social media. You couldn't find them otherwise. It's kind of weird. Yeah.
Yeah, and like you said earlier, it really gives people a chance to like do their own work and take back they don't have to just sit by the phone and wait. In my day, you had to go do a play, someone had to see you, or you had to get into the casting rooms and be seen. And now you just post something and send it, and good, bad, or ugly, you know, I tell young actors, you know, we get to tell people how they should see us now in the business. We have an opportunity. If I tell you I'm Hollywood's bad guy, then maybe it sticks after a while, you know. I mean, I didn't actually do that, but once someone told me that, I was like, well, there's a little branding thing there. So, you know.
Yeah, use it.
I'm one of some great guys who play bad guys. I mean, please.
Really?
I bow down to all my Danny Trejos and all, you know. Do you know how many people think I'm Danny Trejo? It's to the point where I just go with it now. I just say, hey man, thank you, man. Because if you put Danny and I together, we look nothing alike.
Nothing alike. Right.
But I don't know if it's the hair. I don't know. It's something people think and I still have never worked with him. I keep putting it out there that I want to.
Yeah, that should happen. Actually,
well, I think while we're putting things out there, if Danny Trejo hears this, definitely work with Jasper Cole.
Come on, Danny.
And definitely contact Rebel Sage Perspectives, because I want you on the show, and I have since the beginning.
Oh, there we go.
And actually, Jasper, Sage and I were talking about that this morning. I said, you know, he kind of Jasper kind of reminds me of Danny Trejo. Like, it's a whole, not in looks, but like the vibe. But I was like, I bet he's really nice, and he's not like a real mean guy. I think his roles have given him.
You know, that's how Danny is, right? Danny is like you get to see, you know, with his comedy, and in LA, he has these Trejo restaurants, you know.
Right.
He's probably going to start branching out, but he's just a fun dude, right? I mean, I don't have the street cred Danny has, you know, like I didn't serve 10 years in federal prison, unfortunately. But I mean, he's got a great, and I tell everyone his book came out, I think last year. I can't remember with the pandemic, but anyway, he's got a great book that is out that really gives his story. And so yes, he is my spirit animal, I say, in this career, because he does it all, and he does bad
guy like nobody does bad guy.
Yeah, he does. And you know, he's also a little guy. He doesn't mind me saying he's. You know, I'm a small dude. People are always trying. I mean, I'm not. tiny, but you know, I'm not 6 feet. And I think Danny's actually smaller than me. So they, you know, as long as they shoot us from right here up, then
It
Right,
doesn't
right.
matter.
I've stood on many apple boxes in scenes. I'm not too, you know, proud to say.
Right. I know you're about a half apple box height. I was the full apple box height.
And shrinking and shrinking.
Oh,
Yeah.
As we get older, unfortunately, you know, we do shrink, but
I really can't afford to shrink.
no.
I'm only
Someone
4
asked me
foot
the other day,
11.
how tall are you?
4'11".
Oh wow, that's amazing. Well, see again, look, seeing you here, the
I don't look that way.
listeners, I'm getting to see this beautiful face,
yeah.
and you would never know. I mean, well, Charlene Tilton again, you know, she is
Yes.
teeny.
I think I looked, I was just curious who else was 4'11", and I think it said that she was. I think she was on the list that I looked at.
Yeah, you got to wear.
And Tom
And Tom
What's
who?
that?
No, and Tom Cruise, he's 4'11".
Oh,
Is he really?
Wow.
I'm joking.
Well,
I'm joking.
Oh, I was like, really?
I think at least 5'3", maybe.
Hey, that's how tall I am.
But he has the lifts and the shoes too. I said to someone the other day, I think I'm around 5'8". They just fell out on the floor, like Jasper. Come on now.
Yeah.
But you know,
get some of them lifts.
5'7"-ish.
5'7"-ish.
Bare feet.
Bare feet. I get like a 5'3.5" if I put my shoulders back for some reason. I don't know what that is. See, there it is. 5'9", Jasper Cole.
Sorry, I'm all slumped over.
I have kind of a. I'm just gonna ask. You worked with who I consider to be a gentleman actor, and he's since gone on to the great stage in the sky. Mr. Bill Paxton. I want to know what it was like to work with him.
You know, he was such a great guy, and I think Training Day would have continued obviously on if he had survived. That's just, you know, it's another testament of what I was saying about how he's another iconic guy who you don't know what to expect, right? And he was so kind. In fact, his real life son was guest starring on that episode with us and was in some of my scenes. And during one of the rehearsals, you know, this whole thing with guns right now, it's amazing because on that episode, I've handled so many guns in my career. That's an episode where I had a gun in that one. In the rehearsals, his son got hit with the butt of a gun and broke his nose, and we had to shut down production and rush him to the hospital. And that was a very crazy episode in general, but Bill was the greatest. It's hard to find anyone that says anything bad about Bill, but I remember we were all so safety conscious on that set. That was a network TV show, you know, and this thing with Alec has really made me think about, I mean, I don't have guns in family business, which is rare, but I've shot so many guns. You're at the mercy of these safety experts, and Bill was big on safety. You know, he ran a really tight set. I'll tell you a quick little story. I had just had back surgery. That was my first job back after back surgery, and I had to get a stunt double. I had to request a stunt double because part of the reason I had back surgery was not having stunt doubles for years. But anyway, so Bill asked me, what did I have done? He said, you know, I've got a really bad back and I need to find a good doctor. So I referred him to my surgeon, and he said he was going to but he said, you know, I've got this heart issue. I've got to get this heart surgery before I can take care of the back. And so when I heard about that, when I saw my back guy a few months later, Bill had actually met with him, and he was going to do the surgery. And in fact, this gets even more strange. When Bill was in the hospital with the heart problem and was on life, I mean, he was not on life support.
I lost you guys again.
Oh, we're good. Oh,
Okay, good.
Oh, I was just saying, so my back doctor ended up being one of the last guys who saw Bill after he had
Wow.
surgery. And he
wow.
was fine. I guess it's just one of those things where a blood clot happened or something, and sadly we lost him. But
Yeah.
I've been blessed that way to work with, all these great people that are iconic. And Sam Elliott, who's a great person I loved. I got to work with him back in the late 90s. And
Yes.
I always just sort of watched and absorbed and took it in and, listened to these little tidbits of advice they would give. And now I'm sort of that old, I'm the old guy on a lot of these sets now, which is so funny because it's like, if they're looking to me, for sage advice, I'm always like, really? Oh, okay. But what makes me realize is none of us ever really get to a point where we think we have it all figured out, because then what's the point of living, right? We're trying to figure it out as we go.
Yeah. But then, when we've been somewhere and doing something long enough and someone coming up behind us says, well, what do you think? At least we can offer a perspective.
Right. And I try to, it's such a fine line, I never want to be like that old guy, like get off my lawn kind of guy, like it's just very rare. I don't have kids myself. So I think because I don't have kids, sometimes we think we're still a lot younger than we are. Like, I don't know if you guys do this. I'll read about someone died or something, and it'll be like, 59 years old. And I'll be thinking, wow, 59. It's like, Jasper, you're 57. Sit down. What are you talking about? Like, sometimes there's a disconnect with how we see ourselves. So yeah, I'm trying to embrace that older, experienced person. But again, my experience, it's all I can say to kids today is like, this is how it was for me. You're going to make your way, but there are certain things to just be aware of. And the biggest thing I tell young actors today is, find your lane early on. If you can figure out where you fit in the business, which types you should be playing, and then also get a really good therapist. Don't try to get an agent first. Get your healthcare, get your Obamacare, get something, and get a therapist, because your friends don't want to be your therapist. You're at a certain point, your parents have done all they can do, but this business can really beat you up in terms of self-esteem and stuff like that. So you just want to have that.
The rejection is, I mean, I remember when I was doing it, and it would, and you go to like, your acting coaches and whatnot, and they say, hey, you know what? It's part of the job. You're just helping them make a decision. If they don't choose you, that's okay. You've done your job. It's just part of a job. But I'm like, but they told me no, and they tried real hard.
Well, it's a narcissistic business by nature, because we are all, we are the product. And so I always say part of my job is to manage the narcissism and like try to keep it like stifled as much as possible. Like there's so many things that go into getting a job. I would say 20% of it is talent. 80% of the business is who's hired you before. Are you reliable? Are you nice to be around for 12 hours a day? Right. When I go in with there's no going in anymore. Everything's self-tape. But, with my group of guys that I've been with forever, any of us that day could do the job. It just comes down to, do they want my look? Do they want Andy's red hair? Do they want, the director owes a favor to this other actor? And there's so many things that go into getting a role that are just not personal at all.
Right. Have nothing to do with the actor. Completely nothing. Yeah.
But you don't get, you can't get that. You don't get that until you have a body of work behind you to be able to say, okay, well, if it's not my day today, that's fine. It's Andy's day. But for me, for a lot of my career, people used to say to me, oh, Jasper, when you get older, you're going to work all the time. And I'd be like, really? Well, what do you want me to do for the next 15 years?
Right.
Yeah, well, what am I doing then?
I always say, people, just hang in there. Don't go away. I think finally they were like, damn, Jasper showed up again. Somebody just, please give him a part. Just, But
Right.
work begets work. You just keep doing it, and people hire you again.
Awesome.
That is really cool.
And also, lastly, I want to say to people, there's nothing wrong. There's no shame in the game of saying, you know what? I gave this a good run. I want to go do something else and have a great life. There's nothing wrong with leaving the business, you know, and doing other things. I always say to people, do other things besides acting while you're acting, because that's what makes you a better actor anyway. You got to get out there and live life.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
ability to kind of put that Hollywood life kind of in its place and just live a real human life, be a person. Yeah, for sure.
And stop saying when I make it. I've said this in interviews before. I wasted so many times saying, well, when I make it, but it's like you're actually making it every step of the way. And then you get to a point. I think sometimes, God, if I could have just been in the moment so much more when I was in my 20s and 30s. Really, for 40 for me, 40 on is when I really clicked in. But I was missing, like, people will ask me about some old credits of mine or whatever. And I'm like, oh, wow. Yeah. I mean, of course, I remember doing the job, but I wasn't present really because I was already on to the next thing. And this wasn't good enough. Now I got to get the next big thing. So in hindsight, I wish I would have just sort of not been so hard on myself and enjoyed the moments.
Well, you know, some of the demands, and I remember seeing that. I remember seeing principal players, and they'd be on their phone talking to their representation about where they're going after work, or what's the next thing, or do I have an audition tomorrow? Can we squeeze one in between shots here? I mean, it's the next thing, the next thing, the next thing, the next thing, and right now kind of loses right now. But hey, you're having all kinds of right now.
Right. I need a guy. I think it comes with age too, right? It's like if it's that old adage, if we knew then what we knew now.
Oh yes.
But it's just fascinating to kind of look back and say, God, Jasper, it's not that I wasn't grateful. I just didn't understand how lucky I was at that point in my career. I thought I wasn't doing enough, and then out here in Hollywood, you're measured by your friends, your coworkers, everything.
And your last project.
You run into people, and it used to always be, it's not like how's your mom, how's your family? It's what are you doing? You got anything coming out? What did you just shoot something? You know, and you get kind of like, wow, dude, can we just talk real life here?
Yeah. How was my breakfast? How about ask me if I had breakfast?
Like, how's my hair look?
Right.
Yeah. But anyway, I'm not complaining. You know, I said to people the other day, if I will stop, if I need to stop if I'm bitter or complaining. It's time to get out of the business. You know, I still love between action and cut when I'm doing the work. The other stuff, whatever, you know, it comes with the territory, but the work is what makes it nice.
That is very cool.
So that's my church sermon for Tuesday.
Hey, you know, those are good things for people to hear. Those are definitely good things for people to hear.
Yeah,
you know?
I agree. Across the board, not even with acting necessarily, like be present.
Yeah.
As much as you can, because if you're not, you're going to miss meaningful moments.
Yep.
You know, and that's what you've got later when you can't go out and see your friends all the time, or you're not acting anymore in y'all's case, or doing music on stage or whatever. You know, you have the memories and the moments. So yeah, it's cool. Good stuff to think about.
Yeah, you know, it beats the alternative. We're still here.
Right. Absolutely.
Where in California are you from, by the way?
I'm from the San Gabriel Valley. I grew up like about 10 miles east of East LA, a little town called Pico Rivera.
Oh yeah, of course.
Pico Rivera, Whittier. Then I moved to another little place there called Alhambra. So right there, San Gabriel Valley. You know, just 15 minutes outside of Hollywood.
Well, so I moved here in 1987. You'll love this. Becky and I followed each other in 2 cars, looked like the Beverly Hillbillies with our stuff. So we arrive at night, we're staying down in Inglewood with a friend, and we wake up, our first morning was the Whittier earthquake in 1987.
Wow.
And I thought the world was, as a boy from Georgia who had never felt an earthquake, I just assumed God was saying, as my brother in Mississippi said, boy, you better put your drawers in a paper bag and get on home. I did not think it was a good sign at all. Like, but Becky, my girlfriend at the time, she thought it was like a great sign that we were shaking up Hollywood. But were you there? Were you here for the Whittier earthquake?
Yes, I was. I was in high school. I remember that. It was early in the morning. It was right before first period, and it was a game day. So we all had our jerseys on, and the building that my class was in was just a big rectangle that had suspended walkways. And I was on the second floor, and things started to move, and I looked down the hallway, and the hallway is doing this number. Oh. It's just making a wave. I'm like, oh wow, this is great. Oh my gosh. So I waited for it to end, and then I walked downstairs. People are screaming, ah! I was like, oh, come on.
But see, as a Californian, like I am now, you were used to like earthquakes, but it was one of the biggest at the time,
right.
And that's where the newscasters like Kent Shotnick jumped under the desk and all this stuff. So it's just always funny. Becky and I just had our 34th anniversary of moving here, because it's like September 29th or the 30th. So we always laugh about, because now I'm so blasé about earthquakes, which is not a good thing to be, but you know what I mean? Like,
right.
We have an earthquake, and I'm like, oh, that must have been about a 4.0 or something.
Right, you got your own built-in Richter scale now.
but that day, I was completely traumatized. So when you said Whittier, I'll forever remember Whittier for that reason.
Whittier earthquake, nice. Yeah. That's funny.
But I'm glad you're back in the South.
Right. Well, I mean, here's the thing. When I first got here, there was like a lot of, it's tornadoes and stuff.
Oh, I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah, there's like real weather here, and the seasons change, and so I'm home by myself, and I'm watching the newscaster, and they're just like, you better find something to grab onto, go down into your basement if you've got one, and just scaring the bejesus out of me. I learned that word coming here, bejesus. Scared it right out of me.
Yeah, I mean, listen, being from the South also, these storms have just gotten bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yes.
Growing up, but we'd have a tornado, but it's like they're F5s. They've all gotten so huge now.
Yeah.
I say to people, I don't even miss those huge thunderstorms that come up, like in the summer, especially.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
The lightning and the thunder and the rain. In California, it literally, like yesterday, there were 16 drops of rain. It was like Storm Watch 2021. They had reporters on the corners with an umbrella, and I'm going, seriously, it's barely a drizzle. But,
right.
The torrential rain you guys drive through there.
Oh yeah. Oh, it's just walls, sheets of gray.
Yes.
Visibility. I'm in my car and I can't put my hand out and see my hand inside my car. It's raining so bad.
No, but you just you're used to it. It's like it's like people who drive in the snow, I guess. But
yeah.
But seeing my Southern accent has gotten thicker and thicker since we've been talking. We'd be talking about like this.
Mine comes out either when I'm very tired, very intoxicated, or I'm trying to like imitate the people on Steel Magnolias.
But you have a very melodic, like, people don't understand there's different Southern accents, right?
Absolutely.
You have a really, really sweet, but you're also your voice is the kind that can be really sweet and then just stab someone through the back of the head. Like,
you're right about that.
Texas right there.
Yes.
What you're hearing is Texas, sir.
The knife goes in so smoothly you don't even feel it going in.
Yep, that would
If
be
you talk like
correct.
that as you're stabbing them, they don't really feel it, right?
If you talk sweet, they're not going to notice. It's
Not at
true.
all.
Yeah, I was raised in Dallas and I lived in Atlanta for a bit. So uh, my accent is mixed for sure, but I don't generally do twangy. Like,
No,
hey,
no,
y'all, what are you up to? What are we going to do this evening? Like, I
no.
don't do that unless,
You have a
yeah.
much more Turtle Creek, Dallas, you know, sophisticated, sweet
Yeah,
voice.
yeah. So, yeah.
My southern accent comes out when I want to scare Whitey.
Okay. We are about to take this right off the track.
We're fixing to take this somewhere, right?
I'm a
No,
little
here's
tired.
like out here, I tell people where I'm from, and I just to make it easy, I say, oh, I'm a few miles east of East LA, and they get tense. They get tense. I'm like, what? What did I say? What did I do?
I know.
Like, hey, Holmes, it's cool, eh? And they're like, whoa, sorry, Mr. Cholo.
Well, let me tell you, East LA, as you know, East LA has now become very gentrified, and property
Yes.
values are
Yeah,
through the roof there as well.
right.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Well, guys, I
So,
feel like I've hijacked this interview. See, this is what happens
That's what we
when you get
called our
another
greatest.
a host on there. They talk so much. So
oh no, it's totally fine. We brought you on the podcast to talk about you.
wow.
So,
Yeah,
yeah, we're happy to have you on and
very
I'm
happy. Yes.
glad I reached out.
Thank you.
And
Me too. It's so
it's
great to meet you guys. You'll
yes.
have to come be on my show now.
Yes,
Really?
we would be happy to do that. Just let us know when. If you have anything else, Jasper, that you would like to put out there, your social media,
Oh,
anything
okay.
upcoming, knock yourself out.
Yeah, everyone can go to jaspercole.com, which is easy because it's got all the links to everything. But I'm on
Sure.
Twitter and Instagram is at Jasper Cole Says, SAYS. And I'm on Facebook. We have a show page and a fan page and it's a lot of Jasper Cole. But my website pretty much has a link to most of it. So, and you can reach out to me on my website also.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Thank you guys. It's been a real pleasure to meet you.
Thank you. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Continue to do that. And when you come down and film, we're going to see you. Please don't pass us by.
Definitely, definitely.
Let's do that. 100%. Thank you guys.
Yeah. Okay, listeners, now is the time. I am going to ask you, implore upon you, beg you to give us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts and also drop a few lines because we'd love to hear what you have to say about our show and not really our personalities, but our show. Anyway, we will catch you next time and we love you. Thanks for listening. Bye, y'all. November is Type 1 Diabetes Awareness Month, and I encourage you guys to check in on that disease and get the facts. There are a lot of misconceptions, and it's good to have knowledge.